well, they are replaced by other communities, but that particular community that existed there before dies out. You see that certainly with local newspapers, where their readers are like older and older and older and older, and you can actually see the readers dropping.
They become part of newspaper.
Yeah, and they're not being replaced by younger readers, because the younger people don't have any sense of community about the place that they're living in. You know, they just see it as somewhere to live. Or maybe they do have a sense of community, but it's very much harder to define than the community that existed before.
So if the community doesn't adapt and change, it will die out. Basically.
It's from opinion, because some community need to be conservative, so do not allow any changes.
So in a sense that the community exists because of the common threat of change. But then they eventually do die. You're not disagreeing with that, though. This is the immortal community. Gods.
I suppose, the group dynamics are important in defining the future of communities. Something concerning psychology.
Yeah. I mean, you can.
Whether or not you had the opportunity of studying something about groups.
I mean, you can.
Obviously, a community can continue when the founder members have died, but as long as the ideals continue.
Yeah, still have some relevance.
Communities being recycled, and that hits all the time. You know, there are communities that have been existing for so long around certain concepts, and even artistic communities. You know, there are different currents in art, and people get around those currents, but they still belong to a wider community and still reinvent themselves. They still belong to that same community, although it's quite different than the communities that existed 20 years before, 30 years before.
Yeah. I mean, there's a fluidity to these things. Yeah. I was just pointing out that some groups do die out. Maybe I'm just being horrendously negative here.
Some die out.
What's wrong with that though? What's wrong with communities dying out? They're there for a reason. So once that reason's not there anymore, then the community just dies out and moves on. People go on to different.
But it can be a problem for publications.
They're relying on that community, so surely that's the paper's fault for relying on that community.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, obviously they're going to die out too. They can't find a community to represent.
Well, I think when we were defining the communities, we forgot to mention something that is really important, that is the language of a community. So if you have people migrating into the UK, if they are first generation, they're going to share this community if they are from Pakistan or Spain. So with the next generation, they're going to merge into society. So you could say this community kind of dies out.
Well, I was reading this paper yesterday, it's an Newman paper, and it has a list, I'm trying to find it, but it has a list of the biggest online communities in the UK. And I think the sixth largest is a Polish website, which gives you some impression of like the dynamics of the UK and who's living there and what websites they're using. It's just a Polish it must be some kind of social network in Poland. I don't know what it is, but it's I think it's the sixth largest, in terms of use in the UK.
If you think of communities in the UK, they'll be all of them will be like ethnic minorities, like Polish people or Pakistani people, so they're the big communities in the country. But they share a language and a common culture.
Language is really important, and I guess that's an easy way to define a community, but people can speak different languages among the same community, but they share the same
cultural values.
Same vocabulary. You have this geek community. They have their private jokes, and there are some websites who are for geeks only, because if you're not, you won't understand anything that's going on. Or
lolcats.
Lolcat. Well, that's not geeky.
But they've evolved their own language.
I can have cheeseburger.
The appalling lack of grammar has kept me outside.
Yeah, they have. It's true. They have groups have different languages and different ways to express themselves. And there was another thing,
but you can make smaller and smaller groups, because you can have your group of friends, and that can be a community, and then you have a certain vocabulary. words you only use between your friends.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
that's it.
if they're an outsider from
Yeah,
in
the
the
private
conversation,
jokes.
you're using these words. What kind of language is this?
But there's a main difference now because we're talking about geographic communities, and now there's this transnational communities.
Expats.
It's not expats. No, it's
No?
not. No, it's different. Like we're all from different places, right? And we talk to people that belong to our communities, to certain communities, but we never met them in person, and they're from different places in the world. It's kind of strange to see when I go to my Facebook and I have people who kind of like the stuff I do or like the link that I share, and we share the same interest, the same issues, we address the same issues, but they're from all over the world. They're from different countries. Are we a community? Not geographically, no, but in terms of other values. So the sense of community has gone beyond the geographical limit. So that's the major change, the major shift we've witnessed in the last years. Because a couple of years ago, like 10 years ago, we could have pen pals. You know, I had one, but one gave up real quick. And now with the internet, like kids know people from all over the world quite easily, and with different ages, and people like to share and discuss things they're both interested in.
But you still need to share a common language.
Yeah, you have to share a common language. I have that problem when people like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I talk about online journalism. What's that? Journalism on the web. Okay? It's like, they talk about, like, I was talking about this communication model to a friend of mine. He's an accountant, and he said he was really blunt, and he said, "That's stupid." And I kind of understand why he said that, but it doesn't matter to him. It's not on his values. He prefers poker online, so online poker. So that's his thing. And to talk with him, I have to talk about online poker to get that sense of proximity and everything. So that's the difference now. You can have different people from different places and still have a community, and in different places, not from different places, but in different locations.